You can see here is your machine. And this one is the filling machine. And the left one is the bottle filling mechanism. And the cap vibrating plate is behind the filling machine. And at the top of the machine, here is a 100-stage laminar flow hood. And this one is a label machine. And the black one is a printer and its controller. So the machine is pretty complex, so I will divide into different parts and then tell you how to install and operate them. Here is the back of the filling machine, so you can see that there are tubes and cables with corresponding labels around them. And also in the back of the filling machine, you can see that there are labels, so you just need to match the labels. For the cables, you have to plug in and screw the nuts. And for the tubes, you just need to plug them in. And then you have to install the tubes. So you can see here, this one is the main gas source. It will go to the filter, and then it will divide into two parts. So one part is going to the label machine. And it will also be divided into two parts, one to the filter and another one to the air inlet. And another one will go to the filling machine. So you can see this one will go into the filter, which is between the filling machine and the cap vibrating plate. And then we'll go to the air inlet. And this tube is going to outflow the effluent, so you have to place a trash can under the machine, and then you can collect the effluent. Then you need to install the pump tube. So you can see one side of the pump tube is needle, so you have to place that side here. And then you have to place the pump tube into the pump. So here is a lower tapper. You have to place it here and then lock the rod. And for the other side of the pump tube, you need to insert it into the liquid that you want to fill into the bottle. Then you need to install the cap vibrating plate. Actually, there is a special part in the filling machine to help you to install it. So you can see here is a fixed part. So you just need to put the silica gel on the fixed part and put the cover plate on it and use 3 screws to fasten it. And then you have to adjust the cap vibrating plate. You need to match the outlet of the cap vibrating plate and the cap entry with 1 or 2 millimeters gap here. And if you find the outlet of the cap vibrating plate, which is located in the left or right of the cap entry, then you have to lose the screws, which is located in the center of the cap vibrating plate. You have to lose it, and then you can adjust the left and right. And if you find the outlet which is higher or lower than the cap entry, then you have to lose 4 screws, which is located in the 4 corners of the platform. You have to lose the 4 screws, and then you can adjust the height. Then I'm going to tell you the names and functions of these mechanisms. So this one is a bottle feeding mechanism, which will provide bottles to the turntable. And the turntable will run for 1 step to here. So actually there are 2 probes here. So this one is a bottle reverse detector, which is going to detect the bottle is in the right position or reversed. And the other one is a bottle detector, which is going to detect if there is a bottle on the turntable. When they both work good, then the pump tube will pump water or liquid into the bottle, and then the bottle will run to here. So this one is a punch and pre-screw mechanism. So when the bottle go under it, the punch mechanism will punch a cap on the bottle, and the pre-screw mechanism will pre-screw the cap. And this one is a cap detector, which is going to detect if there is a cap on the bottle. And this one is a liquid detector, which is going to detect if there is liquid in the bottle. And this one is a screw mechanism. So when the bottle go under it, the screw mechanism will go down and screw the cap, and then the bottle will go to the exit of the filling machine to the label machine. Here is the front panel of the filling machine. You can see that there are many buttons. This one is the main switch to control the machine on and off. And this one is a screw speed adjuster, which is going to control the force of the screw mechanism. And this one is an emergency stop. So if any emergency happens, you have to press it. And if you want to release it, you have to rotate it, follow the clockwise to release it. And this one is a run and a pause button. And here is the interface of the filling machine. And there are many buttons. So the first one is alarm. And when you press it, you can see the historical alarms and current alarms. And you can also clear the historical alarms and the current alarms by press the corresponding buttons. And the next one is the monitor. So this part is going to check the sensor is good or not. So I will use the emergency stop as an example. So you can see that here is red now. And if I press the emergency stop, it will become green. And if I release it, it will become red again. So you can use this way to check every sensor. And the next one is manual part. So this part is going to check if any malfunction happen. You have to press the corresponding button to check which one is broken. So I will use the screw and screw down as an example to tell you how to operate it. So if I press the screw, and screw down, you can see the screw mechanism will go down and screw the cap. So you can use this function to check which one is broken in this way. And the next one is pump menu. So this part is going to calibrate and clean the pump. So we always recommend you use the pure water and 75% of alcohol and pure water, each procedure for 10 or 15 times to clean the pump. And the set volume means the volume that you want to fill into the bottle. And the real volume 1, real volume 2 is the real volume. And you can select 5 to 10 bottles and measure the liquid and find the average volume and input the value here, and then press the calibrate to make the real volume, which is close to the ideal volume. And next, I'm going to talk about the pump parameter. So you can turn on and turn off the corresponding pumps by pressing the corresponding buttons. And you can also set the speed of the pump in the pump speed interface. And the calibrate part is what I said before. And the next interface is the run interface. And there are limit, count, and total here. So limit means that how many bottles you want to fill today, and if you want to fill countless bottles, you can just input 0. And count means that how many bottles are filled from today until now. And total means that how many bottles are filled from the first time you use it until now. Second part is function switch. You can turn on and turn off the corresponding button to control the corresponding mechanism. For example, if I do not want to use the bottle filling mechanism and I want to use my hand to place bottles on the turntable, I can just turn off the send bottle button, and the next time when I run the machine, the bottle sending mechanism will not work and I can just use my hand to place bottles on the turntable. And the third one, so the one and the run, which means the machine will run for one step, and the run just means start working. The last one is a program interface, and you can see that there are many parameters here. The speed means that how many bottles you want to fill in 1 minute, and the capacity means the volume that you want to fill into the bottle. And the cap push time means when the bottle go under the punch and pre-screw mechanism, the time of the cylinder will push the cap. And the screw time means the time of the screw mechanism. And the no bottle stop, which means the turntable will not stop immediately when there are no bottles on the turntable. It will continue to run 20 steps and then stop. And the full time means the time of the pump work. And the pre-screw delay time means the delay time of the pre-screw mechanism work. And the punch time means the time the punch mechanism punches the cap. And the hold cap time means the time that the mechanism holds the cap. And the send cap voltage means the voltage of the cap vibrating plate. And the higher the value is, the more powerful the vibrating plate will vibrate. And the backflow, actually you don't need to set it normally, but if you find that there is a drop in the tip of the needle, then you have to set the backflow to let it suck back the drop. And the pump speed just means the speed of the pump. And if you set all these things down and you want to use the recipe in the future, you can just press save recipe, and we have 10 recipe from 0 to 9. So if you want to use the corresponding recipe, you just need to input the corresponding value and then read the recipe, and then you can use the recipe in the future. And this one is a 100-stage laminar flow hood, and there are 5 buttons here. So you can press it to turn on and turn off the light. And you can press this one to kill the germ and bacteria. And this one is going to send air into when it's working. And you can also set the voltage by press up and down buttons. Then you have to connect the label machine and the filling machine through the linear vibrator. So actually, how to install the linear vibrator? It is the same like the cap vibrating plate. You can see here is a fixed part. You just need to put the silica gel on it and put the cover plate on it and use 3 screws to fasten them. And here is the back of the label machine. So how to connect the cable, which is same like the filling machine. You can see that there are just cables, and you just need to match the labels and plug in and screw the nuts. So here is the label machine. When the bottle comes from the exit of the filling machine, through the linear evaporator to the label machine. This detector will know that there is a bottle here, and then the cylinder will push the bottle to the rubbling mechanism. And this detector will detect there is a bottle here, so the label mechanism will label on the bottle, and then the bottle will go to the exit of the label machine. And there are 3 motors here. This one is for the rubbling mechanism, and this one is for the labeling mechanism. And this one is for the release paper collector. And this one is the label release component. And you can see that the label will be installed in this way. If you still do not know how to install the labels, do not need to worry about it, because I will send you a manual to tell you how to install the labels. And here is the front panel of the labeling machine, and there are also 3 buttons here. The main switch to control the machine on and off, and the emergency stop, the function is same as the filling machine, and the run and pause button. And in the interface, the first one is auto monitor. So this part is like the filling machine, also to check the sensors is good or not. So I will use this sensor as an example. If I block it, you can see the corresponding sensor will work. So you can check the sensor is good or not in this way. And in the motor parameter, you can press the drop forward and drop backward to control the labeling mechanism. And this one is the real length, is ideal length of the label. So actually the length is the length of the label, and also at one side of the blank. And the real length, you can press this button to make the labeling mechanism run, and then measure the real length, and then press the calibrate to make the real length, which is going to close to the ideal length. And the next page is the rubbling mechanism. So it is same like the labeling mechanism. And the menu interface, you can see that there are 3 buttons here. So the first one is going to control the linear evaporator. If I turn on it, the linear evaporator will go to work. And the second one is the cylinder, is the push auto cylinder. If I press it, the cylinder will go to work. And the third one is the roller of the release paper collector. And in the program interface, you can see that there are many parameters here. Actually, you don't need to change the parameters because we have set all these things down. The first one is the number of front labels, which means you can see this sensor, we always put 5 labels in front of this sensor. And the distance between labels, which means the length of the label. As I said before, you have to add one side of the blank with the label. And the distance of sensor, you cannot change it, because if you change it, the label will go to print in a wrong way, and the linear vibration voltage, which means the voltage of the linear vibrator. The higher the value is, the more powerful the linear vibrator will vibrate. And here are the labeling speed and the rubbling speed. You can also set the speed here, and this speed, which means how many labels are printed in 1 minute, and the back delay, you also don't need to change it. And the last interface is the run interface. You can see that there are limit, count, and total here. So limit means that how many labels you want to print today, and if you want to print countless bottle, you can just input 0. So 0 means you can print countless bottle, and count means how many labels are printed from today until now, and total means that how many bottles you want to print from the first time you use it until now. And here, the 3 buttons are the functions button, so you can turn on and turn off them to control the corresponding mechanism. And one label just means the machine will run for one step, and start and stop just means you can run and stop the machine. And the last part is the printers, but I will not tell you how to operate it now because I will send you a manual which contains how to set the printer and also how to install the labels and how to install the software in your personal computer, and also how to edit different content from the computer to the printer, so you can do what the manual said and follow the instructions. So that is all for the machine.